Each time you go to a museum, you always experience a very controlled chronological timeline. It's always like a very specific narrative. Whereas if you experience a story of two museums, you will see that the episodes that are at the core of the story of those museums are episodes that have been forgotten or underestimated by the big history, if I may say. The starting point of our collaboration, Katherine and I, happened a year ago when we realized that we had a common interest in the Museum of American Art in Berlin, which is an exhibition that Katherine organized in 2011 at the James Gallery. And we suddenly realized that there was another museum similar to the Museum of American Art that had always been haunting our minds, was the Museum of Jurassic Technology. And then, where we were talking about this, we realized that those two museums were actually friends. They were part of a community. This is how the conversation began and how the curatorial impulse came from.
Because the two museums are so different and they have a very different way of telling their own stories. So we wanted the content of the exhibition to be what we found in those museums. So it's really an ethnographic story.
The first half of the space is dedicated to the Museum of Jurassic Technology, and the second half of the space is dedicated to the Museum of American Art.
With the Museum of American Art in Berlin, we decided really to look at all of the different ways that that museum's collection has been presented at different venues throughout Europe. So we had many different ways of looking at the content of the Museum of American Art in Berlin through its other restagings at different exhibitions internationally.
Personally, as a curator, you always work with artists, you always exhibit artworks, but this is really the first time that we were not working directly with artists, but we were working with locations, places, museums, and we were not working with necessarily people, but we were working with artifacts.
Or stories about other exhibitions and institutions that have been created, and it's unclear whether they are existing in the realm of art or technology, or at what time period they're most relevant. Yeah.
This exhibition reminds me a little bit when you're going to La Cinémathèque Française, when you're going to a museum about cinema, when you're not experiencing a movie, but you experience a museum about a movie. And that's exactly, I think, what we've been trying to do with those museums dealing with history, is how you can take one step back and look from a different perspective.
Exactly.
The joy, I think, of this process and of curating is that you're always able to learn live.